This is just about where we left off, isn't it? I'm going to go ahead and select this entire body of code, and I'm going to delete it because I'd like to put it in one step at a time for you. First of all, you'll notice that I've got a line number on the left. That helps me track with what's going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in the pound include, and this is going to be the inclusion of a library. Now, no program is going to contain all the code that it needs to actually run. So there we go. I can't type and talk at the same time, it seems. So what we're going to do is ask the compiler to go out and get the library of information or library of functions that it needs to run this particular program. That way it doesn't carry all 32,000 libraries with it every time it compiles. It just gets the ones it needs. So this is called a preprocessor directive or a processor directive. I'll press enter and we go down to line 2. I'm going to put in another directive using, got to spell it right. And you'll notice that when I start typing, I get a little box at the bottom that wants to help me out. So I'm going to say using name, and there it is. That's the prompting. It wants to use namespace, so I'm going to go ahead and say use namespace. Now you'll notice the colors are different here. This is important because the colors actually tell you what's going on. The green is a preprocessor. The dark blue that you see we're using is called a reserved word or a syntax word. And the black is an identifier. We'll talk more about identifiers later on. So namespace using, and I'm going to use standard std, and I'm going to put a semicolon at the end of that line. You'll notice that standard is black, which means it's an identifier, and the semicolon is red, which means it's a required operator. I'll press enter twice. And now I'm going to write my main function. The main function is always going to be an integer, or usually going to be an integer. And notice it turned blue. That dark blue means it's a reserved word. Then I'm going to type in the name of that. That's main. And you'll notice that it wants to put that word there, so I'll just press enter and puts an open parentheses and then a closed parentheses. That indicates it's a function. I'll press enter. And as I put down the first brace, you'll notice that the second brace appears. This is actually the beginning of the main function code. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and tap in a brace, and you'll notice it puts the top and bottom brace, and that's to help me not forget to put it in there. I'm now going to put in another syntax word, cout. It's not count, it's cout, and I'll press enter. What I want to do then is use cout, which is actually send it to the console screen. I want to then put in 2 left chevrons. Now the left chevrons are red. That indicates that they're a required operator. Now, what do we want to put on the screen? Well, I'm just going to type a message. And you notice when I press the quote, I get both quotes. I'll type in hello, comma, world, and I'll put an exclamation point in that. The end quote is already there. I'll go to the end now of the line, and I'll put in my required semicolon. You notice it's red again. I'll press enter. And now I need to put one more thing to show that the main code block is finished. Int, like any other function, requires that some kind of number be returned. In this particular case, we're going to return 0. That's not an O, that's a 0. And I'll press semicolon. And now my code is done. See you on the next video.